जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा, जय जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा, लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जय जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा। जय गौरानिता गौरानिता गौरानिताय, जय जय गौरानिताय, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय 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 प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साधुजातं सागणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। Where were we? Can you say where were we? Which verse? There's a long gap, na? Sonal, where were we? Anyone? Diya, Sonal. Somebody has to tell me. I'm not remembering whether.
Mataji, book is not in my hand, Mataji. I am cooking right now. Can you please ask somebody else to check?
Gaurang, where were we? Mute your microphone. Gaurang, Diya. We completed 6th chapter. So nobody is answering what I like.
No idea.
Huh? No idea?
No idea.
You don't have idea, but Gaurang does. Huh?
Mataji, 2
Gaurang,
minutes. I have to check from my book.
what is the idea? 6th chapter we are there, but in the 6th chapter, which verse? Yes, Gaurang. Diya, what happened to you?
I think
You're not
Mataji,
admitting.
we have to start from text 24.
It's 25. 6th chapter, text 24. Why it took long time for you to answer?
I was checking
Hmm?
Mataji.
Okay. So we have spoken about the Samadhi, 6th chapter, 25th verse, right? Shanai Shanai Parame Buddhaya Dhruti Gurhetaya.
18 we finished.
Hmm?
6:18.
So Gaurang has the record of 25.
25.
25th verse. Shanai Shanai Parame Buddhaya Dhruti Gurhetaya. आत्मसंस्थं मनः कृत्वा न किंचित अपि चिन्तयेद. Now, how to perform the yoga system that has been spoken. Shanai Shanai, step by step. What Lord says, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. That means full faith. And thus the mind should be freed, fixed on the self alone, and should think of nothing else. Now, slowly, Lord is teaching how to perform But in the 19th verse, it has been clearly said, like how the lamp should be in a windless place. In the same way, mind has to be controlled. You cannot say, I'll not control the mind, I'll not control anything. You have to be controlled. There only that is fixed in the meditation. Uncontrolled mind they cannot do any meditation. For trance, for samadhi, yes, mind should be in perfect mental balance. You cannot just speak what you want. No. Because the perfection is how one is able to see the self by the pure mind. That means understanding of the relationship with the Lord. Then he can experience transcendental happiness. Or he'll be always frustrated, anger, frustration. One has to control. In this way, if he is never departing from the truth, then there is nothing more better gain than that. Even in the midst of difficulty, he is not shaken. So that is known as samadhi. What is the meaning of samadhi? Even in the midst of the difficulties, he is not shaken. Difficulties come for everyone. It is not that in this material world nobody gets a difficulty. Everybody gets some or the other difficulty. One has to practice yoga system by faith and determination and never to be deviated from the path. And what is the best yoga system which has been given to us? Is the chanting process. One has to chant attentively. That is the real meditation for this Kali Yuga. The material desires, they come from the mental speculation. 24th verse is speaking, I'm just giving a recap. One has to control the senses from all the sides. And step by step, one has to use intelligence. You cannot be a Buddha, isn't it? For everything, intelligence is required. Even for the material education, intelligence is required. If a person doesn't use his intelligence, then he's a madman, isn't it? He just does what comes in the mind. That is known as mad person. Just speaks what is coming in the mind. That's a mad person. But if he uses it intelligence, yes, then he will think twice. That's why it is said, think twice before you act. Think twice before you speak. I'll read 26th also. Then Rajit Prabhu, you can read. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchala astiram ततस्ततो नियम्येत आत्मन्येव वशं नयेत. The mind wanders. Mhm. Because of the flickering nature, unsteady nature, the mind wanders. But intelligent people, what he does, he withdraws it and tries to bring it. The mind will wander here and there. It's the work of the mind. Senses wander, mind wanders. If the senses are controlling the mind, then gone. Intelligence should control the mind. You should think, na. What is the meaning of think before you speak? Think twice, na. What we are telling, what we are speaking. So for that, intelligence is required. The person is not intelligent, he's Buddha. He doesn't know what he's speaking. So that is why he has to use his intelligence. Then he can experience prashantam manasam yenam yoginam sukam uttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutakalam akalmasham. Then he can experience the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. What to speak? Even his aura gives happiness to others. You see, if there is unsteady mind or a mad person, you will not feel happiness to be with him. You will not experience. But if a person's mind is steady, you like to be with him. You like to talk to him, isn't it? You like to take advice from him. So, a person whose intelligence is fixed, he develops a wonderful transcendental happiness aura also, because it's beyond the mode of passion. And people call him God. Why? Sometimes you see a person is a saintly, complete saintly in nature. People call him God because he's qualitatively identical with Lord. Qualitatively, not quantitatively, qualitatively. My small grandchild, now when we were going in Yatra, She told to Kamalujan Prabhu, I consider you as God. Even a child can identify who is a person with fixed intelligence. They are sadhus. So, like that, even a child feels so happy because they are free from the reactions to the past deeds. They are fixed up in their mind. When a person is fixed up in their mind, they develop such a wonderful aura from them. That is why people like to have association with them. So, Rajit Prabhu, three shlokas, please. 6.25, 26, and 27.
Hare Krishna. Sanai buddhya triti grithya gritaya atma samstambana kritva na kinchit abhi chintayet. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. By proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. This is called pratyahara. The mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from the senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of life. In other words, although one is involved with matter as long as material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyamyatat atmanyeva vasam nayet. From wherever the mind ponders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. The nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady, but a self-realized yogi has to control the mind. The mind should not control him. One who controls the mind and therefore the senses as well is called Goswami or Swami, and one who is controlled by the mind is called Godasa or servant of the senses. A Goswami knows the standard of sense happiness. In transcendental sense happiness, the senses are engaged in the service of Rishikesha or the supreme owner of the sense, Krishna. Serving Krishna with purified senses is called Krishna consciousness. That is the way of bringing the senses under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga practice. Prashantamanasam khenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaiti shandas rajasam brahmabhudam akalmasham. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me, verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Brahmabodha is the state of being free from material contamination and situated in the transcendental service of the Lord. Mad Bhaktim Labhade Param. One cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the Absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. To be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, is to factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. Hare Krishna.
Next one. Yunjanaivam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma sansparsham tyantam sukhamashrute. So a self-controlled yogi, how is he? He is constantly engaged in yoga practice. So in this Kali Yuga, which yoga practice has been recommended? Always chant the holy name. That is most important, chanting the holy name. Then he becomes free from all the kalmasha. Sukhena Brahma Sansparsham. He achieves Brahma Sansparsham. He touches, he's in contact with the Supreme. You chant the holy name, you are with Lord, isn't it? Because you're calling Lord, na? Hare Krishna. What are you doing? You're calling Lord. Oh Radharani, please come. Oh Radha Krishna, please come. So that is why he's so happy. Atyantam sukham ashrute. He attains that sukham. Why? Because he's in touch with the Supreme by transcendental loving service to the Lord. When we say, I'm in contact with Lord, what is the meaning of in contact with Lord? Directly can we talk to Lord? We can serve Lord, and Lord sees that service simple. Serving Lord is more important. That is how, like, you can broom the temple, you can have coming, you can feed the people. So many things are there, no? Like you can feed, you can do transcendental services, tan, man, dhan, whatever way. If we are able to do with our body, very good, okay, by mind, hmm, by dhana, there is Brahma Sansparshan. Okay. Diya, you cannot read. No? Gaurang, you read?
Hare Krishna.
Read.
Yunjan evam
Just read, just read,
sadatmanam.
just 1 minute, 1 minute, just read. I'll read the other verse also, then read all together.
Okay.
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः. How is he? He sees everyone equally. Hmm? Sarvabhutastham. He sees that Lord is situated in every living entity's heart. Atmani ikshate. In this way he sees yoga yuktatma. That is how he is dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. So a true yogi observes me in all living beings and also sees every living being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme, everywhere. So in this way, Lord is present everywhere. So a self-realized soul, a person who is connected with Krishna by yoga practices, Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, then a person is not away from Krishna. He is able to see Lord in every living being and every living being in Lord. That is why it does not hate anyone. Hatred, criticism only comes when there is enviousness, when we see something different from Krishna. Okay. Now read both the verses, Gauran. Diya, you have opened your mobile, so you can also read. The next verse I can give you. Now for now, Gaurang.
Okay. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. Thus the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Purport. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called Brahma Samsparsha. Text 29. Sarvabhutastam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. Translation. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord everywhere. Purport. A Krishna-conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as Supersoul, Brahman. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. That is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but he is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the supersoul. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as follows. Atatattvak, atatatvacha matritvacha atmahi paramo harihi. The Lord, being the source of all beings, is like the mother and the maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father or Mother is also. Consequently, the Supersoul is always in every living being. Outwardly, also every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior and the material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in him in one way or another. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations, according to the results of fruitive work in all circumstances, remain the servants of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses, and while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So very clearly it has been given that a yogi, he sees Lord everywhere. At the same time, he sees everyone in Lord. So Lord is not lost for him, right? Next. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. Whoever sees me everything and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Because he is seeing Krishna in everything. It's a big thing. This type of vision, seeing Krishna in everyone, seeing Krishna in everything, so that also requires Krishna's mercy. Without that, a person cannot see Krishna in everyone and everything. So in this way, he has that love which is anointed in his eyes. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Prabhupada has put this verse of Brahma Samhita. Santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shyam sundaram chinta gunaswarupam govindam adi purusham tamham bhajami. This requires premanjana. Not hate a person. It is very clearly said, you hate the acts of a person. Suppose somebody is very evil. You hate his karma, but don't hate him. We cannot hate a person, but we can, yes, hate his activities, what cruel activities he is doing. Okay. If we start hating a person, that means we are hating the creation of Krishna. Okay. They are read.
Hare Krishna. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sa cha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Purport: a person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestation of the material nature, but in each and every instance he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee and the devotee becomes skillful in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It is stated in Brahma Samhita 5.38, Premanjana Churchita Bhakti Vilochane Santa Sadaiva Hrideshu Vilokyanti Yam Shamasundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pearl of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose the sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing Lord within himself. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next verse. Sarvabhutastham yo, sarvabhutas bhutasitam yo mam bhajante kalvamasitah. सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजत्ये कत्वमास्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते. सर्वभूतस्थम, I am situated in everyone's heart. Krishna says, yeah, you. In this way, when he sees what he does, bhajati, he serves a devotional service. Ekatvam. So he is serving me, understanding that I and the super soul are one and the same. I am the same person who is situated in everyone's heart. So Krishna is revealing his Paramatma Swarupaha, Asita, Vartamanaha, Api Yogi Mai Vartate. In this way, he is serving me. He is always in me in all circumstances. Whoever serves worshipful service to the super soul. So the yogi, Dhyana yogi, he is serving the super soul. But then he should have the knowledge that he is serving Krishna, Mam. Ekatvam, these both words are important. Mam. I and the one who is situated in everyone's heart is the same person. So in this way, if he is meditating onto me, on the super soul, he is actually meditating onto me. If he is serving the super soul within his mind, sometimes the yogis, they meditate and they serve Lord within their mind. Like within the mind, even Vasudev, in the meditation, when Krishna is born, at that time he gave so much of charity. He did not have anything, but within the mind he had to do that. So, understanding that I am giving it to Krishna, that super soul is Krishna only. In one place, it so happened, one yogi was meditating that he is making a nice kheer, offering to Lord. Then he wanted to check whether the kheer is hot, because you cannot offer which is very much tremendously hot. So he checked, and then he woke up from his, immediately got up from his meditation, because he saw that his fingers were really burnt. Though in the mind he was making everything, Krishna accepted it. But that doesn't mean that if you have everything, you just offer everything in mind only. Krishna is a person. So everybody can say, why I should give like that? I will eat nice pav bhaji and all. Within the mind, oh Lord, within the mind, without onion, garlic, let me remove and I'll give you. No. Krishna is a person. Krishna appears in the form of Vigraha also. Archa Vigraha. Paramatma. Antaryami. Okay. So read. Sonal, you can read? No?
Yes, Mataji, I can read. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Text number 31. सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजति एकत्वमास्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते. Translations and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Super Soul, knowing that I and the Super Soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Purport. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the Super Soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with 4 hands, holding conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna, in this form of super soul, is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami, Nikhilashva api avasthasu jivan muktah sa uchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narad Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. Dikkaladi anavachinne Krishna cheto vidhaya cha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jivo brahmani yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopalatapni Upanishad, confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Eko pisan bahuda yova bhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra, it is said, Eka eva paro Vishnu sarvavyapi na samshayah Aishwaryadrupamekam cha suryavat bahu deyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
God is one and is present everywhere. So in this way, he is one person. Ekam. Eka evaha paro Vishnu. In this way, he is pervading everywhere by his inconceivable potency. Atmau panyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo matah. So Atmau panyena, by comparison, he is a perfect yogi. By comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all living beings. Oh, he knows, Mamaivanshu Jiva Bhuta Jiva Mamaivanshu Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So every living entity is comparing to his own self. Yes, they are true equally to all living beings. In this way, he is equal to everyone in both their happiness and their distress. And that yogi is a param yogi. He is equal to everyone. In all the circumstances, he is equal. Somebody is giving him happiness, he is equal to them. Somebody is giving him distress, he is equal to them. Because he sees that every living entity is Amsha of Krishna. Whatever he is getting is according to his own karmas. Nobody can give us happiness, nobody can give us distress. It's our own karmas which is giving us happiness and distress. Somebody becomes a madhyam. Somebody comes and insults us. We are seeing that in a very gross level. That may be a test of Maya for us, or maybe we have insulted that person in some lifetime, or we have insulted somebody else. Everybody gets their karma ka phal, simple karma phal. So, the results of their own karmas. Somebody has to become a cause, na? Well, this is very important verse. He's seeing everybody equally first. Okay. So Vijit Prabhu, Anupama is there. Okay, Vijit Prabhu, you read.
आत्मौपम्येन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति योर्जन सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true quality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. O Arjuna. One who is Krishna consciousness, one who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Na cha tasman Manushyesu kaschin me priya kritamaha. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So he is the best yogi. Now what Arjuna says, let us see. Arjuna what? Because till now, Krishna is speaking about the Dhyana Yoga. Now let us see. Because the yoga, anyhow, Prabhupada is translating everything to Bhakti Yoga. Because Dhyana Yoga is not going to function in this Kali Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga itself, Arjuna says it is very difficult to do. Now let us see what he says. Arjuna Vacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pashyami Chanchalatvat Stitim Stiram. His mind is so chanchalatvat, so much restless. The system of yoga, this system, Ayam Yoga Tvaya Proktaha, whatever you have described, this system of yoga, that is Dhyana Yoga, oh Madhusudana, it is very difficult. Because mind is flickering, restless. What will do? Close your eyes and sit. On whom you are doing dhyana. You will try to do some dhyana on the Paramatma. But we should know now who is Paramatma. Okay, I'll know who is Paramatma, is Krishna himself. I'll just try to sit and do the dhyana. How long? Mind is flickering. Suddenly, oh, Sonal has made a nice uttapa today. I shall go and eat there. What happened? Mind was thinking something, and then suddenly uttapa came. Mind is chanchalatva. Very difficult to control, isn't it? Eating alone. Mind will go here and there. So not so easy. It's impractical, undurable. So controlling the mind is not so easy. That is why Bhakti Yoga is given. See, there also Dhyanam is required. When you are cooking for Lord, isn't it? So how a person cooks? A person cooks with great attention. How he feeds? He also feeds with great attention to Lord. So in this Kali Yuga, just sitting, in Satyuga, yes, you can meditate on Lord. Like Dhruv Maharaj, he meditated on Lord. In Satyuga, it is possible. In Kali Yuga, the moment you sit, that time only the phone will ring. Then half dhyanam in your mind, half dhyanam in your... It's not so easy. But chanting of the holy name, yes, it is easy. Okay, Diya read 23rd verse.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna Vacha. Yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana atishsyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitam stiram. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. But the system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Saucha Deshe and ending with Yogi Parma, is here, being rejected by Arjuna out of the feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self realization even by simple practical means, and what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow the system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior, he had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facility than we do now, yet he refused to accept this system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in the history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next. चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलवदृढम् तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायोरिव सुदुष्करम् चञ्चलं हि मनः mind is very chanchalah, one time here, one time there. Pramati balam dhrulam. Pramati also means mad person. If somebody hears to the mind, he is a mad person. Pramati means always agitating. Balavat, very strong. Dridam, obstinate. You tell something, you don't do this, that mind will tell you, you do this only. Like how the children, they are very stubborn. If we try to control the mind, it's not going to happen. You have to engage the mind. Like you cannot control a child, you have to engage the child. You will say, hey, don't do this, don't do that. The child will do that. That is the nature of the child. So mind is also the same thing. If we don't know how to engage the mind The mind cannot be controlled by artificial means. Very obstinate, very agitating, very strong. Nigraham, very difficult. You say, I'll observe my mind. Aham nigraham manye. If I try to nigraham means if I try to subdue by watching it, nigrahani will not happen. It is more flickering than even the wind. Vayo sudushkura is more difficult than controlling the wind. At one time you can control the wind, but not control the mind. So when you have heavy wind flowing, you can just close your windows. Easy to control the wind, but not so easy to control the mind. Your mind sits and thinks something nonsense, it goes on, putting dustbin. It becomes a big dustbin. The moment you think a lot, oh, no one is hearing me, no one is hearing me. If you go on thinking like that, then your mind becomes a dustbin. You see what thoughts come. You said if you connect your mind to a television, you can see many dramas happening within the mind. So many thoughts. So that is why Ambarish Maharaj very clearly says, Savai Mana Krishna Padar. Just think about Krishna. Then you will always be young and smart. If you think something nonsense, the aging happens because of the mind. A person, Tukaram says, Lahanpani dega dega, Krishna. Let me be always the child. Let me always catch hold of your hand. Let me be always dependent on you. That is more important. Morning, Stotra Ratna classes are going on. The Stotra Ratna by Yamalacharya is so nice. How to surrender to Krishna. There is also an art. And why Krishna should show mercy unto us? What is the need of showing mercy unto us? So all those things are given so beautifully. 8:30 class. Try to join. Or afterwards here in the YouTube. If you're not able to join. Really beautiful verses are there. Okay. So we'll read 34.
Hare Krishna Mataji, text number 34. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balvadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Purport. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy. But ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is the more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3.324, it is said, Atmanam ratinam vidhi, shariram ratam cha, buddhim tu sarathim vidhi, manah pragraham cha, indriyani hayanahur, vishayamsteshu gocharan, atmendriya manoyuktam, bhokteti ahur manishinah. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindayoho. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
The mind is focused in Krishna, then there remains no other engagement to trouble the mind. The problem is we don't chant. There is a problem. If we learn to chant, if we teach to chant others, then mind, any other thoughts will not come. As chanting is the only means. The more we chant, no other thought processes will come. Other all thought processes will only either elate us or depress us. Other some good thoughts, okay, we are very happy that day. Some bad thoughts, we feel, oh, we are neglected. Some depression may come. So there is chanting is the only means. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Samshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Guhyate. Lord says, Manaha Durnigraham, very difficult to curb the mind. Yes, it is chalam. Chalam means it's slippery. But by practice, one attains vairagya and can control the mind. When you say vairagya means what? Detachment. This attachment, overly attachment leads to expectations. Expectations leads to frustration. When you expect for something from the other because of attachment, and when that is not fulfilled, immediately one becomes depressed. The reason why attachment should not be there only. But that detachment can come from where? By chanting the holy name. By suitable practice. So in every yuga, the practice has been given. For Satyuga, there was a practice. For Treta, there was some practice. Dwapar. For Kali Yuga, it is just chanting the holy name. Because it's not so easy to find a sacred place, a secluded place, a forest region. Where is forest? All the forests are being cut to hotels. Which forest you'll find? And which sacred place you'll find? Where will I focus? How should I observe celibacy? Not so easy. So chanting has been given for this reason. Okay, Gaurang, read.
Okay. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Jagrihyate. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Purport. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind is expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead, but at the same time he suggests that by practice and detachment it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the Supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind and spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Hare
What
Krishna.
nice treatment Prabhupada is given to see. Hearing the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is an expert treatment for the mad mind. A person whose mind is not controlled speaks whatever comes in the mind, never even thinking about what are the consequences of his speech. Is it going to agitate someone? Or is it going to give pleasure to someone? Are we speaking Krishna consciousness? So anything comes to the mind, we should not speak. And anything, any nonsensical food also should not be eaten. Eating the foodstuffs offered to Krishna is appropriate diet for the suffering patient, Prabhupada writes. A mad man is a patient, isn't it? There are so many diseases. But out of all the disease, the biggest disease is uncontrolled mind. Every disease has some cure. But if mind is not healthy, we cannot experience that transcendental happiness. So this treatment is a process of Krishna consciousness. Asayam, asayyatatmana yogo, asamyatatmana yogo, dushprapa iti me matihi, vashyatmana tu yatataha, shakyo vaptum upayataha, asamyataha. Mind is unbridled. That means not in control. So for those whose mind is not in control, the self-realization will never happen. What self-realization? Yoga dushprapa. He can never attain self-realization. This is my opinion, Krishna says. Mama me matihi. Vashyatmaha tu yatata. But on the other hand, if a person is endeavoring to control the mind, shakya vaptum upayataha, by appropriate means, then he is assured of success. That is not me. So one has to strive hard to control the mind by different methods. And the method which is given for this Kali Yuga is simple: chanting the holy name, association of devotees, book reading, chanting the holy name, dhamvas, deity worship. Among the 64 limbs, the 5 limbs has been emphasized by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. ABCD square: association, book reading, chanting, deity worship, dhamvas. Okay. Vijit Prabhu, please read.
असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता भक्तो वाप्तुम् उपायतः. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite the fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor, but a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna.
So now we'll take more 3 verses 37, 38, 39. I don't know tomorrow I can hold the class or not because I'm going to Surat. I come early, I take. Or if not, we'll take a little more and then I'll see whether I can adjust you all in the Friday class or what. Mostly no, let me check. Arjuna Vacha Ayati Shraddhayopeto Yoganchalitamanasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gati Krishna Gachati. So now the question is Ayatihi. This is unsuccessful yogi. First he engaged with Shraddha, then he got deviated. Chalitaha, Manasaha. So he is not able to attain Yoga Samsiddhim, the highest perfection in yoga. So what will be his destination? In the beginning he had so much of faith. Afterwards, because of worldly mindedness, he left. So many people now, initially they come to temple with all the faith, then they'll give up everything and make the preacher think what mistake did I do. Nowadays it's ulta trend. Initially it was like people used to hanker for Guru and they used to find out their own mistake. Now the Guru has to hanker for the, for the students. So now, initially he came with all the faith and suddenly deviated. So what will be the destination of such unsuccessful yogi? So now, Kaschin, this also is connecting verses only. Kaschinno bhaya vibrashtas chinnabhram iva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmanah patihi. So he is deviated. So what will happen to him? Does not such a person who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud which with no position in any sphere? Sometimes a small cloud comes out of the big cloud. What happens to the small cloud? No position in any sphere. The same way, if a person is bewildered, then he has no position in the material life also. Because he has come in the spiritual path, his taste in the material life is actually removed. But still, Jabardasti, if he goes also, he will not find a taste in it because he has already tasted the nectar. So why should he taste the poison? And then 39th verse. Etanme samshayam Krishna chetumarhasya yushosha sheshatah tadanya samshayasyasya chetana vipavadyate. So I have this doubt, O Krishna. Please dispel this. Chetu. Arhasi. I am requesting you, you are requested. Asheshatah. Asheshatah. Only you can do it. And in this way, samshayasyaha asyaha chetaha. You are the remover of all the doubt. Without you, nobody else can do that. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So what is going to happen to a successful yogi? Whether he will be removed from the spiritual path also and the material path also? I have this doubt. I'm asking to you. Okay. Diya, read one verse. Then Sonal, you read the second verse. And third verse, Vijit Prabhu, you read. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna Uvacha Ayati Shraddhayopeeta Yogachalita Aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Purport. The path of self realization or mysticism is described in Bhagavad Gita. The basic principle of self realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but that he is different from it, and that his happiness is in the eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. These are transcendental, beyond both body and mind. Self realization is sought by the path of knowledge, by the practice of the Eightfold System, or by Bhakti Yoga. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of the living entity, his relationship with God, and the activities whereby he can re establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above-mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope of deliverance. Out of these three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it is the most direct method of God realization. To be doubly assured, Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement. One may sincerely accept the path of self realization, but the process of cultivation of knowledge and the practice of the Eightfold Yoga system are generally very difficult for this age. Therefore, despite constant endeavors, one may fail for many reasons. First of all, one may not be sufficiently serious about the following processes. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusionary energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusionary energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. Conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material energy, and there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental disciplines. This is called yoga chalita manasa, deviation from the transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the result of deviation from the path of self realization. Hare Krishna.
Text number 38. कच्छिन्नो वयविभ्रष्टश्छिन्नाभ्रम् इव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो
Unmute.
महाबाहो. I've unmuted Mataji. कच्छिन्नो भयविभ्रष्टश्छिन्नाभ्रम् इव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणः पथि. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a raven cloud with no position in any sphere? There are two ways to progress. Those who are materialists have no interest in transcendence. Therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development or in promotion to the higher planets by appropriate work. When one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so called material happiness. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, then he apparently loses both ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position. He is like a raven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it cannot join a big one, then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non entity in the vast sky. The Brahmanaha Pathi is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be spiritual in essence, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Lord Sri Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and therefore, one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. To reach this goal of life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births, Bahunam Janmanamante. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness, the direct method. Thank you. Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna. एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुमर्हसि शेषतः त्वदन्य संशयस्य चेतना ह्य उपपद्यते. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Krishna is the perfect knower of the past, present, and future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past, they exist now in the present, and they may continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from the material entanglement. So he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. No one is equal or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts because he knows the past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Stop here. Any questions here? Yeah, Gaurang.
So Mataji, like, when is the exam gonna be? Like, what is the date?
Once this chapter is over, February 1st week will be your exam. Next class,
Okay.
physics chapter is done.
Okay, Mataji.
Maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, whatever. The sixth chapter is done. So first week of that means first week of January, that sixth chapter is over. So I'll give you 3 weeks to study. And then in the first week of February, we can have. By the time other all 7th chapter and all will continue. There's no holiday. Yeah, yes, Sonal, any doubt you have?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Just wanted to understand how the exam paper will be and where are we supposed to give exam and all that.
You can sit in your house. Bindu and Jumur will conduct the exam. They shall be watching you, whether you are seeing any book or not. Even if you see also not a problem. Simple.
Mataji, paper pattern.
It will come from your the textbook. This is the given a guide is given. From that only it is going to come, nothing extra. And then maybe like 10 is there, 10 questions are there, any 8 or something like that. Nothing extra is going to come.
So multiple choice or it will be writing?
Writing. Multiple choice will be less. Writing. Not big answers. Start studying.
Thank you, Mataji.
February first week, I'll tell Jumur to conduct. Okay? Hare Krishna. Panchakalpa Sarvadosha Sindhu Devacha. Patitanam